Welcome to Selling the Soundtrack, your go-to pod for everything music sync licensing. If you're already making bangers, your music could be making you bank. Today we're here with Ronnie Eriic. He is a talented hip-hop, rap, and R&B artist. He has placements on Fox, NHL, A La Carte, and many more. He flies out to co-write with songwriters across the globe, and he's seen a lot of success, especially as of recently. Thanks so much for being here, Ronnie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Before we get started, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor for this episode, DistroKid. DistroKid is the easiest way to get your music onto streaming platforms like Spotify and YouTube. They don't take any royalty cuts, and you get access to all of their promotional features. You can sign up at www.distrokid.com/VIP/Tiffany Williams for 7% off your first year's annual membership. So Ronnie, how did you get started in sync, and tell us about your journey?
I started music my sophomore year in college. I was with a group of individuals. We formed a group called LOTD Music Group, which is Leaders of the Dreamers music group. So we all got together. It was like four of us, homie Charlie Scott, my homie Martez, rest in peace, Say So, homegirl Say So, and me. And so I started dabbling in music because my grandfather passed away and I needed some way to vent. And so I was really trash back then. Really trash. Like, I used to show the homies the music and they were like, bro, what is this? But
we all start somewhere,
you know
whatever.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it kept me going. It kept me like fueled to just get better. And so fast forward to that, I moved to Atlanta after I graduated, started building my fan base and just really working on me. I invested in myself, got me my own equipment, networked with producers, just like really found my sound. And then fast forward to then now, my first few syncs was I got it through United Masters, doing NBA 2K21. So I have some placements on there. I got some on AT&T that never aired, but they paid me, which felt good.
Okay, good. At least you got paid.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of the whole point anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then I seen both sides of just the exposure and what could happen. And so since then, I just been locking in and networking just to get more placements and stuff, and fell into finding Heather on TikTok and stuff like that.
For your first placement, how did you end up getting that one?
So basically, United Masters has this back end where they give you exclusive things that can happen. Okay. So I just had to read what the brief had said, no explicit words, and if it did, edit it and everything else like that. Okay. And then from there, I had to make sure the song fit the tempo, tone, and everything else like that. And I just submitted it, and then I waited. Okay. And then the liaison from them reached out, was like, hey, you got a placement, you got to sign this, that, and the third, and we'll rep it for you. So it was like a 90-10 split. So I kept 90, they kept 10.
Oh, wow. And then how did you get that brief in the first place?
Everybody gets it. As soon as you sign up for United Masters, that's an exclusive for everybody. It's not just me. It's like everybody on part of United Masters has a chance to submit for all of these different opportunities.
I see.
I was just blessed to like have a dope song that was like, all right,
it's on. Yeah.
A bunch of homies just like, yo, I heard your song on 2K and all of this stuff. So then I'm like, okay, yeah.
And then how did you get into that label?
I found United Masters because of those opportunities. So the only reason why I left this show is because United Masters had these opportunities that I can actually be a part of and only pay like that one set fee.
Okay, so it's a distribution
It's a distribution company owned by Steve Stout.
Okay. I've heard of distribution companies that help with sync. Like there's also Symphonic, I've heard. I had someone reach out recently through like the Selling the Soundtrack Instagram, and they're like, hey, like I need help choosing a distributor. I've heard about distributors that help with sync, but are they like really laid back, or do they actually help with getting you placements? But with your situation, they were actually sending you briefs.
Yeah, no, not even briefs. Like on my back end, as soon as I sign up and sign in, as long as I have the one where I as an artist, I forgot what it's called. I think it's a United Master artist or something like that. Because they have a cheaper one and a more expensive one.
Yeah.
So as long as I was a part of that, I was able to submit to any type of exclusive opportunity that they had on their back end. And ESPN and NBA is like one of those big ones. So it's like ESPN. You could be played in the game. You could be played on TV. I also I have, if you go and look me up on YouTube, a bunch of Dunk Weeks, which is my song on YouTube, and do them
Yeah.
and everything like that.
Another cool thing about getting syncs is like, the promotion. Like
Yeah.
you Google your name and now all of this like content is out there.
Mm-hmm.
So not only can it be lucrative, but it's also promotion.
Sometimes it's hard for artists to market and get those tools and
It's
stuff like that.
expensive also.
Yes.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you is, so when you make music for you,
Mm-hmm.
is it very different than when you make music for sync? Are there parallels?
Initially, yes.
Okay.
It was for me, like making music for me it seemed just for me like selfish, like I just got to get my feelings out and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Now when I make music, it's for both.
Oh,
Like I wanted to be able to be promotable in my own voice, that it makes sense for the masses, right? It's like I always write music for everybody, message to everybody like that. But now that I'm in sync, it's just a bigger palette, right? So now I'm having ad themes, ideas, and stuff like that, where I can bring the general population of feel good, freedom, have fun, this, that, and the third, but in a new way that's outside of just I have fun with my friends, we drinking beers and going to the pool, like you know what I'm saying? Like no, we're having fun doing all this great stuff, and now it's a little different. That's how I feel like it's I grew into it now.
Just as tips for other aspiring rap artists that want to be in sync, do you think that there are certain like subgenres of rap or hip hop that like do well in sync? Like, are there certain things that people should try to educate themselves on how to do?
Couple of things. I feel like if you're going to be in sync, research, right? Get on iSpot TV, TuneFind. If you're watching a TV show or whatever, at the end, look at the credits to see who did that. Then look them up and see what their resume is like, right? Just don't go into it like, okay, I could do this and I want to reach out to this person but don't know anything about them, right? I recently just did like an anthemic alternative rock hip hop type
Oh, the
of thing.
cake cover.
Yeah, not even that one. The one I just got for UFC,
okay.
Climb to the Top.
Oh, that one's a banger too.
Yeah.
That one's on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just released it on there.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, a whole different type of genre. But inside of it, it's not just hip-hop. It's like rap, alternative. Like, so I feel like there is a lot of subgenres that work. I just think people don't need to limit themselves.
Right.
And really just, like, open your palette to, like, some new things. Like, I never would have thought of... I always wanted to.
Yeah.
It's always been a want. Just never...
You never
took
had a
the time
reason.
until somebody said, I think you can do this, do it, and give me an opportunity to do it. And it was like, oh, snap, I love this way more than I love making just regular hip-hop.
That's cool. So your comfort zone is a little bit of feel-good music.
Yeah, that's me.
If you got a brief that was like hard sports, like badass, would you recommend like going for, like as yourself? Would you go for something?
Oh, yeah, I'm going
like
for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not.
Limiting yourself.
Yeah, I'm going for that.
So I've heard mixed things where people are like, focus on what you're good at and then like stick to that.
But what
And
if I don't know if I'm good at it, right? Like,
that's true, especially when you're first starting, right? Like when you're first starting, you're kind of like, well, I've dabbled in this genre, so like I guess I'll go with this genre. But it's true, there's a lot of opportunities to learn because you get briefs for all kinds of things.
Yeah. I think the main thing is just somebody knowing themselves as an artist, right? I feel like if you don't know yourself as an artist, that makes it harder. Right. So if you know yourself as an artist and you know what you can do and what you want to do, like just recently, like I just learned mad stuff just within the sync camp this whole week that I didn't know I can do.
Yeah.
But then pushed me like, let's try this, try that. And I'm like, okay, nah, this works. Now I'm going to take it back home. And
Yeah, and
you know what I'm
keep
saying?
doing this. Absolutely. That's why collaboration is so important.
Yes.
What do you think is one of the biggest hurdles for musicians entering sync?
Please stay away from the stuff where you have to pay for
Yeah,
the brief.
absolutely. It's
Stay-
kind of like pay to play. It's
Yeah.
so wrong. Like you're supplying the entertainment. Why are you paying to play? Same thing in sync. If you're paying for briefs, like
Yeah, I would stay away from that. I think that's one of the big things. Because when I first started, I didn't know. So I would like, oh, I'm going to do this $10 thing. They send me the brief, but it's like 100 other people doing the same thing. Whereas like now I have one person that believes in me. There's other people that work with them too, but at least they know my sound, what I want to do, and they know what briefs could work for me. Whereas somebody that doesn't know me,
they don't care.
they don't care.
Yeah.
They just getting a paycheck as long as they eating. You know what I'm saying? No
Yeah,
disrespect,
yeah.
I mean, it's a hustle, but
Yeah.
I just not my thing. And I've never been that way. Like payola's never been. I used to live in Atlanta, and that's a very big payola plays.
It is important to make the right connections.
Mm-hmm.
While we're on the topic, do you want to share about how you met your sync agent?
So I met her through TikTok. I was doing research. I found other music supervisors, but reached out, watched her videos, seen what she was talking about, commented, built that relationship just through social media. And then one day she was on live, and I was in Atlantic City on vacation with my family, and I got on. I was like, "Babe, should I just request to get on live?" She was like, "Yeah." So got on the live.
Oh, with her?
With Heather, got on live.
Wow, okay.
And we had a whole conversation and everything. She introduced me to everybody, and we just kept building from there. And then this is when she was at Peer Music Stuff. She gave me an opportunity. I just started my 9 to 5 because we moved to New Jersey. Just started it, and she was like, "Hey, I got this brief. I think you'd be dope for it." Sent it to me, and I gave it back to her the next day because I was just like, I need to, you know what I'm saying? Like, somebody give me an opportunity. I'm not about to wait 10 days. Like, yo, I'm a
no.
You know what I'm saying?
You gotta make it happen. Yeah, absolutely.
And so she gave me, and then we did that, and she was like, "Oh, this is dope." Like, you know what I'm saying? I got more, and I'll send it to you whenever. I got them. So then from there, we started working on the Chuck Berry one. Chuck Berry's estate loved that one and everything like that. And then from there, we just been, working like another family member now for us. So I'm really blessed to have her in my life, and she's really been showing me what sync is.
Because she's so dialed in to her roster. Like, once she decides she's gonna take you under her wing, she's like, I'm all in. And I think that's good advice for listeners too. Like, pick your team wisely. Make sure the people that you're working in believe in you, and you believe in them too.
And I think, make sure you find somebody that works either harder than you or just as hard as you. I had people managing me, and I was working harder than them. How does that work, bro? You know what I'm saying? I want this way more than you. Nah, there has to be a mutual. We all want the same thing. 100%. And I feel like that's what I have now.
Okay, one thing that I get a lot is people want to do sync full time as their main squeeze, but you've been in it for a while. Do you think it's better to kind of diversify your offerings?
Yeah.
Or is it possible, do you think, to do sync full time?
I think it's possible to do it full time, but I feel like you should diversify it, right?
Right.
I'm not just only an artist, I'm a songwriter. I know how to mix engineer if I need to. If anybody needed something, I can do that right then and there. I feel like, but that also brings you good to the table. Sync camps like this, people, we were working quick.
Oh my gosh,
if I'm a new artist and didn't know how to write a song and do this, that, and the third, I would be intimidated. You know what I'm saying? And I have been. I've been in sessions where somebody get on the mic and they just da 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 da.
Yeah.
And we done. You know what I'm saying? They had the verse, everything. And I'm and for me, sometimes it takes me a little longer to write because my meaning behind some of it, I want it to be felt right. But then there's sometimes where I just get on the mic, I'm harmonize something, and then I write to that harmony. So I just feel like your work, how you work and how you do it just needs to be figured out on how it works for you.
A lot of people struggle to get their first sync. Do you have any general or specific advice for how to get that first sync?
Join a distribution company that helps out with that, honestly. Only because that's your way in without, even if you couldn't find representation, right?
One thing I really wanted to talk about is covers.
Okay.
Because that's such a complex thing.
Yeah.
First of all, for the people listening right now, how does making a cover make sync complex?
What I learned, when I heard cover, I'm thinking remix, right? I'm thinking I'm taking a sample from somebody's song, messing it up a little bit, and making a new composition or adding some of that composition in. Totally wrong. I was totally wrong.
Okay.
It was actually, you keep the same lyrics from that artist and we create a whole new production to it, right? And so when I found that out, I'm like, man, I want to do cover songs a lot more, because all I got to do is say what you said in my own tonality, in my own voice, to a new production, right? So I have had red tape with sampling, but not when covering.
Can you give us examples of both?
Yeah, so sample Chuck Berry, and I have to go through thousands of people to get that. Okay, so now me and Dave All Day just did a new cover where he's doing new compositions and stuff. I'm rapping Chuck Berry's hook and stuff like that. But then I also wrote my own lyrics. So originally it was sampled and my own lyrics, so that's what made it so dope.
Yeah.
But now it's like his hook that I'm doing with my own lyrics and things of that
Kind of
nature.
the opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then with straight covers, which we did for Cake, did The Distance, that was just rapping, learning how he rapped his song. Learning how I had to really get into what he was doing and then make it my own, but still have that same kind of attitude.
Yeah, and Cake is like notorious for like the offbeat jazz.
So I never rap like that.
Oh,
like,
okay, yeah,
boom
yeah.
bap. Like I used to growing up trying to be like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole and all them, but nah, I haven't done it in a minute. So it's kind of hard. It took me like a few days to get it right.
Yeah.
And but I loved it.
Yeah, Cake is one of my favorite bands. So when you covered that, I was like, hey.
That's dope. That was my first time, honestly,
really?
like listening, and yeah, it was amazing. I love it. If you can do covers, do covers. I think you should reach out, and I think Heather speaks about this. Reach out to the publishing companies and seeing what songs can be covered.
Okay.
So that you understand that you have the leeway to go ahead and use.
Like your perspective, it's easier to, get a teammate like a sync agent and ask them to reach out to the publisher or whatever and figure the cover out. Is there anything like you want to say before we like wrap the episode?
Yeah. So you doing production. How's that been for you?
It's been really good. I feel like producing for artists in sync is a lot different than producing for artists in general because there's just so many more rules. And, sometimes like I'll get hired for a session and I'm like, oh, like this could be syncable. But then there's like a certain lyric or like it's like, arranged in a way that I'm like, oh, but like it doesn't build enough. And I'm like, but I don't want to like tell the artist to like change their song. But it's cool working with sync artists because they just get it. Yeah. And like, I can make a beat and they'll understand. Like at the sync camp, I was so surprised with how fast we were able to finish stuff.
Yes.
Because like we only got the briefs for the sync camp like 3 days before the camp. So I was like on the plane making beats like the day before I left when I got to my Airbnb. And I was like, this is hectic. Like I only have 3 demos and I hope the artists are going to like it. And usually like I'll do this thing where like I'll try to top line over to make sure the beat's not too convoluted for the artist. And I'm like, I went off on the beat. It's kind of convoluted, but I don't have time to like fix it. And then like I walked into the first session and I was like, okay, here's the demos. And like Brittany was just like top lining in a millisecond over. And I'm like, and it's fire too. And it took her no time. And then same thing with the second session. So I feel like it's really cool working with other artists in sync because they just get it.
And I think that us having an opportunity to talk to the music supervisors also helped out a lot because I know you had some questions. And
you did too, yeah. It's so interesting because you know how sometimes you get a brief and you're like, the description sounds nothing like the song.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I'll like hit Heather back and I'm like, okay, the description said this, but then the song does this. I just want to confirm that like I'm going to make it sound like this. And then like during the camp, I asked the music supervisor and I was like, you specifically said not dreamy, but the melodic house ref is so dreamy, like the synths, the reverb, the vocals. And then he was just like, that's what the client said. Yeah. And it's like they're also just figuring it out. Like sometimes we're like, why did the sync agent or supervisor say it like that? But it's like their client. They're trying, it's like broken telephone.
Exactly.
They're trying to understand and then we're trying to understand them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is like where we understand the music side of it. They don't. Not the music, the ones above the music supervisor, right? The clients.
Yeah.
And they're not really into like the music. They just want something that can help this product proceed faster and get to people's hands. And we're like, well, I need it to also represent me when it goes out because then that's a national placement, right? It's not just in my backyard or people streaming, like people are going to hear this on national TV. So then it becomes a bigger thing for anybody and everybody that's a part of it, right?
Yes, and it has to be authentic too. Like making stuff just because you're like, oh, like I'm gonna get paid from this. Like it's very different than making stuff that you're like, oh, I'm proud of this now. And most likely, if you're proud and it's authentic, like it'll do well.
And I think that's what artists need to understand too. Like, do it for what you love to do. The money will come As long as it's true to you, I feel like the money will come, right? I started, I'm like, yeah, I gotta get paid, I gotta feed the family, this, that, and that. And then it was like, no, like I love doing this, and the opportunities of seeing what it could be is just amazing, because it's like where I was at, I think it was one of my mom's events, and my aunt came up to me and was like, oh, I heard your song during the NHL game.
Oh, that's
and
so
I'm like,
dope.
oh, this is crazy. I text Heather. I'm like, yo, they just said this, that, and the third. My friend, he was watching a UFC fight. He texted me literally as it was playing. He was like, yo, I just heard this song. So, like, just having that instant gratification for people seeing what you have done, and they know that it's you, I feel like it's a lot more than just money sometimes. It's just that. You know what I'm saying? So, I feel like just telling artists, if you get these briefs, be you. Watch and listen and see what it's asking. Because what did she say? She said tone, tempo, and
vibe. Yeah,
we're gonna bring it up for you guys real quick.
Tone, tempo.
Tone, feeling, emotion you want to get across. Tempo and theme. It was theme. So focus on those top 3 things, and I feel like you can land a scene.
Land a placement. And where can people find you?
You can find me on myspace.com. Say, no, I'm just joking. So you can follow me at RonnieEriic. That's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Website coming soon. Nice. And hopefully you'll see me on your TV screen, listening to me, you know what I'm saying? Just hearing more tracks. Yeah. And I appreciate you having me.
Of course. Been amazing. What? Of course. Okay, actually, one more question since you mentioned that. You're working on your website. I want to redo my website too. And like I've also heard that it's really good to have a good sync website so that when people creep you, they can like see all your placements, whatever. What are you hosting on? And also, what are you including on your website? So I had Squarespace. I really love Squarespace, but I'm now looking at Wix. I feel like Wix got better, a lot better. It's a lot user-friendly. So I'm testing out different ones right now, to be honest. Okay. What I would post on it would be what I have done so far. So bio about me, and then I guess you could say EPK, but just that within my website of showing what's been going on, and then another page just for the music and stuff like that. And are you gonna have like a sync dedicated page of like, this is my sync music? And this is,
Well, I don't know about just it being sync music. Maybe more of like what the placements was and things of that nature. I just want all the music to be together type of thing, and that be separate. Like, because I just look at, even though it's sync, it's still music together.
It's still your music,
exactly. So just because I got that one, you might find another song within it that you might like that I never knew that could work, right? So I don't want to just limit it to.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Ronnie.
No doubt. Thank you for having me.
And don't forget to follow Selling the Soundtrack on socials. We're on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. You can subscribe to our email newsletter. Thanks for listening. Peace.